Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining and getting ready to present about career development with human resource management related to Hyundai today.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to present about career development in Hyundai Motors. Uh, I am Muslim Bek Rajabayev, and my course mate, the group mate, is Hyunjang Cho. Well, this is our table of contents. I will go with definition of career development and why it's important in business. And my groupmate will speak about company overview and career development analysis of the company. Well, what is the career development? It is an ongoing formalized effort by an organization that focuses on developing and enriching the organization's human resources. And it also requires successfully navigating your occupational options to choose and train for jobs that suits your personality, skills, and interests. Well, why is career development so important for organizations? Well, firstly, attracting top talent. Also, the US has been faced with tight job market in competitive files. Employers must focus their efforts on attracting the top talent. Competitive employment packages that go beyond traditional compensation that and benefits can be key to their success. And also, the research shows that career prospects and opportunities are influencing factors when potential employees are choosing between job offers. In addition to this, employees who perceive their employer to provide career growth opportunities show a greater commitment to their organizations. And secondly, job satisfaction. Employees who participate in required training courses and work-based development activity during the work time reported higher job satisfaction and organizational commitment. These findings can be explained by social exchange theory, which posits that employees will remain with and work harder for an organization if the organization shows it values the employees by taking on responsibility of shaping their career. And thirdly, retaining employees and reducing turnover. Through the organizational commitment, career development opportunities help to retain employees and thus prevents turnover. When estimates of the costs involved in replacing a skilled employee have been reported to be as high as 150% of that employee's salary, retention of quality employees as a strong business decision.
I don't believe you. Can since this is a small presentation, you're able to get 10 points for this, and you're coming up to our final term presentation, where you're going to share your research project worth up to 60 marks. If you just say something like you said, 150%,
Yeah,
without showing a reference, I can easily attack you.
I will have
Can you
reference.
say where you got that 150% fact from?
We got from Kramer, Siebert, Wayne. It's from the article we got. We have
Okay.
reference list.
Um, Great. But for you to get, if you keep presenting like this, I will attack you. How, who can show me what is helpful to Muslimabek right now for this fact? How should you do what we just did professionally, internationally, globally? Somebody just said we can grow 150%. And then we went on talking about something else. And so I stopped and I attacked it because you're missing an in-text reference. Every time you say a point, you should be saying where you got it. So you should say, what was his name? Kilili 2020 said that the growth is 150%. Then you're safe. Then Mr. Kirilli or whoever wrote that article can get attacked, but you still look safe. Don't only present references at the end of your speech, at the end of your presentation.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Go ahead, please continue.
And finally, productivity and financial returns. Employers can also increase the productivity and financial returns by investing in their employees via career development. Perceived growth opportunities offered by an employer have been linked to higher job performance and lower turnover. It was taken from journal Kramer Siebert, Wayne, and Bravo 2011, which, as discussed above, contributes to higher quality products and prevents monetary loss due to the turnover. Moreover, evidence suggests a positive relationship between financial performance and organizations that encourage and support continuous knowledge and acquisition and dissemination. And this was taken from Ellinger, Young, and Houghton 2002. And my groupmate will continue with his company overview.
I'm Hyun Chang-jo, and I'm going to present company overview and career development analysis of the company. Hyundai Motors is a South Korean multinational automotive manufacturer headquartered in Seoul. Hyundai Motor Company was founded in 1967. Hyundai operates the world's largest integrated automobile manufacturing facility in Ulsan, South Korea, which has an annual production capacity of 1.6 million units. The company employs about 75,000 people worldwide. And, sorry.
The joys of working online.
Okay. And the Hyundai vehicles are sold in 193 countries through some 5,000 dealerships and showrooms. In 1998, after a shakeup in the South Korean auto industry caused by the Asian financial crisis, Hyundai acquired the majority of rival Kia Motors, and Hyundai owns its 33% of Kia. For decades, Hyundai has been in the front line of modern car design and manufacturing. The very word Hyundai is oppositely derived from a Korean word Hanja, meaning modernity. Constantly pushing the envelope, the company has a long history of technological innovation, but it hasn't evolved merely for the sake of evolution. Rather, and Hyundai Motors' human resource development aims to develop talent and cultivate an organizational culture to enhance business performance and create future value. So we are going to introduce several strategies and institute of HRM. Hyundai has its HRM Institute mainly for training employees. For a company to grow, its members should thoroughly understand the company's management philosophy and values and try to become experts in their respective field. At Hyundai Motor Group, all members share the group's core values and visions for the future, and educational programs are provided to help them develop their potential and create the greatest synergy between employees. In addition, for future sustainable growth, the Hyundai Motor Group University educates leaders with a global mindset in regard to all business areas. HRM team regularly assess the needs of individuals looking for an opportunity to move between departments. Through this process, job preference and personal interest of each individual are defined. Once their needs are defined, each individual are not only allocated to different departments, but also become highly motivated. And to effectively utilize the internal talents and to provide multiple job experience for certain individuals, inter-department movement is supported. This is how career development program proceed. So selections are made based on the applicant's goals and career path, and applicants' skills and career path are deeply explored through interviews. So finally, selected personnel will be moved to their respective departments. And this is our reference. Thank you.
Okay. Can we get some comments from your teammates? One of the main things that you should be looking for when you're presenting is feedback to make sure other people understand, number one, and then feedback to make sure other people can help you develop some sort of synergy. So try to get some feedback to develop the synergy of your presentation in class. Muslimovec and your teammate, both of you, try to get feedback from your human resources surrounding you now. To be more clear, anybody that contributes significantly gets points. To be even more clear, we should have quizzes to make sure you understand details, and the people managing the quizzes get points for that. The people that do the quizzes, answer questions, get points for that. To be even more clear, when we're coming up towards the end of the class with our final big research projects, you need to evaluate each other. Even though you are not a presenter, the listening company, human resources, will get points for evaluating the presenter. So several of you need to practice giving feedback, evaluate what you just heard in the presentation. Why are you quiet? And your partner, why are you guys quiet now? I'm about to take time away to start presenting other things, and you'll lose your opportunity.
I think we will do quizzes next time.
Okay.
Because we hadn't enough time to prepare well.
Marissa, I see you right at the very top videos right now. Can you tell me what you found most interesting in the presentation?
I think that the comment that I actually wanted to add is that maybe it would be nicer if you add like more, how do you say it, like pros and cons, like something bad about the company, because you mentioned a lot of positive points, and be more critical about what you present and what they present, like Hyundai about themselves.
Good. Okay, power and success usually comes from two things. One thing it comes from is your knowledge, your expertise of something. So if you just say good things all the time, people may not give you as much credit. You may get popular if a lot of people like you. That's the other form of power, just getting a lot of people to follow and like you. So yes, try to develop your expertise, good and bad. But when you're working with other people, you can't insult people, especially in Korea, that's illegal. You need to be critical of how you do it. You may offer suggestions for consideration or benchmarking suggestions for going forward. I heard some considerations for that. So thank you for that. Anybody else?
So I saw Kyung Yon Jung, you raised your hand raised. Do you have a comment?
I have a comment for their presentation. I have two actually. The first one would be the how do I say, the APA style of the references. So we can trust it. And the next one is like, if it is about the career development, I wanted to see some examples of, I mean, what are the career development and how it is being operated. And I mean, they have shown the effects, but I wanted to have a look of the examples, and maybe the manager is doing the, I mean, even I believe that there are like internal managers are doing the career development for their employees, and there will be externals. So what are the different effects of that?
According to our survey, Hyundai usually use their facility, like their institute, HRM Institute, and they usually use the facility, and they have their own program. It's called the career development program in their company. So I think it could be better. It could be better we give you the examples, but sorry about that. We don't prepare the examples, but we know that employees usually use their career development program.
Okay, anybody else? What I heard with you guys, I'm showing you a presentation now for everybody. You said a few very good points, and one of the things you were saying is that the executives, management of companies are very clearly aware that career development, performance management development, employee training, on the job training definitely helps companies. It's not just helping an individual worker, but it's doing both. So be aware that there's online education. Not only do we teach online through one specific private university you're paying tuition for, but most good professors anywhere in the world are now teaching online, and you can watch this not only in YouTube, but with very famous educational programs like Allison, one of my favorite, NPTEL, which is another favorite, India's national program for technology enhanced learning. The top universities of the world will share their full classes there for free. There's also programs like Khan Academy, where Simple Guys students, just like you, made a video recording using their smartphone to give family members to help them understand basic details. But because they were sharing the details with YouTube online, so many other people started to see that they started to like it, they fell in love with it, they started to send him checks, donations, just to keep doing it. And he's developed this into one of the world's most famous online educational programs, Khan Academy. Also, very notable is Coursera or Udacity. These are big, massive, open online course offerings that you guys should be aware of. Some of them are nonprofit, some of them are for-profit, some of them are just businesses trying to grow. But with coronavirus, they're growing like crazy. Be aware of these details. Next, universities. Not only is Keimyang University teaching online, but Harvard is giving classes for free online. Berkeley, MIT has been sharing their PPT and their class notes since 2002. 18 years, MIT classes have been open basically for free on the internet. So I think MIT is a very, very good school, and you can go through those and learn from some of the best professors in the world. And since this has been around for almost 20 years, a lot of these organizations are now starting to give you certificates. And in our class, I forget which student talked to me in the first few weeks, but you can identify this class is a specific training, and you can create a certificate for just participating in this class, and you guys can win some certificate, put that on your resume in addition to just having a degree from Cambridge University, you could say that you have an international human resource management certificate that might make you look better than any other student that just graduated from a university alone. Some certificates are very, very valuable. Some certificates aren't. Usually these are relatively new. You should take advantage of this newness, but at the same time, as Muslimabek has said, most good CEOs know that online training, know that online job development and career development inside the company and outside the company helps in many ways. Muslimabek, can you repeat some of those benefits related to on-the-job training that you mentioned? You summarized one of the articles you went through.
Now, the articles that I said is Mikkelsen, Saxwick, and Ericsson, 1999.
Okay.
Ogens and Krieger, 2009.
So I am showing online for everybody to see now. There's the Harvard and MIT work together. It's actually MIT started it, Harvard joined later. There's the edX program, and there's Coursera. You can see there's Allison, which I think is great. It's pretty easy to get still certificates almost for free in Allison. Coursera is starting to charge fees for their participants, for their certificates. You can see in this image, just from the small Allison program, you can get diplomas in psychology or business management, entrepreneurship, project management, workplaces, safety and health. There's many certificates you can get, sometimes for free online. It's something to check into. And they cover many different areas, many different fields. These are links you can go into Allison and watch hundreds, thousands of courses. And Allison is relatively small compared to Coursera or NPTL. So make sure you check and you're aware of some of these things. I went through, and with what we were talking about earlier, I recorded notes for you guys. Oh, here it is up here. So inside here, we went through. I started to record notes for the presentation today. Because we can still develop with the references, because I want you guys to fight and show you deserve things. I, as a standard, will be giving moderate level marks, and I want you to show me you deserve more marks. You should be putting in your marks here and links to details. So, but I've started to do that. So in Muslimabek's presentation today, you were actually saying that staff developing through company training programs and experiencing those people experience higher job satisfaction than those not getting more training. And with online, massive open online courses, these are key. You can do this anywhere now. You don't need to wait for a company to train you. You can show your boss, and in class, you can show me, you know of a course that teaches something related to your weekly topic or your final term paper topic, and get points for that, same as in a company. So promote the idea of online education, number one. Number two, when you are talking about things, make sure you reference wisely. At the beginning, we didn't use in-text references, but at the end, Muslimabek did a perfect job sharing in-text references. I did a bad job of typing these details down. I heard you said that came the idea of management investing in staff training raised productivity of the company and it lowered turnover. I wrote down that was from Bravo 2011, so that's one thing, but you can clarify that to other. Please respect also Marissa. She was talking about being more critical, talk about pros and cons. So make sure you guys don't just wait and hope somebody's going to knock on your door and offer you a job. Start going out promoting yourselves. This sheet here of who has presented should be filled, and you should have links to what you're presenting overall going forward. This is one aspect of it, and I went through and I started to put some points in here also, but these points, these squares are for you to fill out. Any other questions about the career development before we get into other details? Was there another student saying that you wanted to present today also? Going once. Okay, I'm going to start going through if you learn those details. My type is INTJ. If you guys understand how, I can give you bonus points for being able to talk about that. What else can you do on the job training? What else can you do for overall HR management? Anybody that wants to work in HR management, what Kyung Gun Jung just said is vital. If you really want to be taken seriously in HR management, you must know that Jung typology indicator test, or what I shared with you in class, www.humanmetrics.com. That will show you what are your capabilities, what jobs are good for you, your communication style, your learning style, your dating style, and what are the styles of other people around you. The more you know your boss's style, the better the relationship you will have. The more you know your target customers' capabilities and styles, learning styles, communication styles, the better your customer will think of you. So it's incredibly important. And staff in companies, especially HR management expertise, the HR management staff, those employers, they must know those details so they can align executives or engineers that are only focused on engineering. Maybe they can only talk to other engineers. So you need to know what are the styles of the salespeople, which might be different, or the artistic people, which might be different, or the customers, which might be different, or the marketing and the PR departments. So you can help by knowing each person's capabilities, the Myers-Briggs typology indicators, and introduce them. Yes, what else? Why was I talking with Kanak Do earlier at the beginning of class and earlier before this class started? Because he showed research articles gathered in India by other people. How does that relate? What's going on with coronavirus? How does coronavirus impact Myers-Briggs topology indicators? Maybe it doesn't. Does coronavirus impact what Min Soo Kim said? Agent Jun, Jakovir Abdulov, Juang Lee, any of you? How does coronavirus change companies and HR management? It's so much fun talking to myself with nobody replying. I'll wait 5 seconds. There may be some shy people. Jihan So, can you comment? How do you think coronavirus has changed companies, HRM, and your career development?
I have to think a little bit more, Professor.
Okay, Juyong Lee. I just heard Min Soo Kim talk about something, and what I heard, even though she used different words, is that people don't need to follow that old-fashioned time card system. Company executives are increasingly realizing the company doesn't grow more just because you spend 15 hours a day working the company. The most productive countries and companies in the world usually realize it's more important to focus on something different than time. What else can you focus on other than time? What can you measure besides time? Minsu, you presented it. Do you know how they track you?
Sorry? So how they track the workload of the employees?
So how would your manager know what's going on with your workload? Your manager is not going to look over your shoulder all the time. How will they know whether you're working or not?
So as I said, that the program system that I saw, that the company applies the email, the contact of each one. So I have control on updating. For example, if I was working in a company, I would have the control to put on the program on which step I am on the project that I'm responsible for. For example, if I'm at the beginning, in the middle. But I think it's a little bit on this program, it seems to be a little bit different because it is more, I saw on the article that the goal of this program was to help employees to find, for example, there's some employees that sometimes we get stuck in some part of step on proceeding with the project. So when the project is not going forward, they ask for help for other employees. But it's not a way to keep track of giving pressure to them to finalize the project or the workload. It was just more of a positive way to help each other on, because at work in the company, when we are inside the building, if I'm have some trouble in some kind of part of the work, I'm able to ask my coworker for help on the spot or ask for directions or details about it. However, when I'm working at home by myself, the people might struggle on overcoming these kind of questions that they might have regarding the project. And sometimes people also don't feel free to ask questions. Like, one thing is as contacting the person when it's on the same building, the other it's when it's separately. So they can, on that program, if I see that some other employee stuck at some step, I can be more proactive. I can be more the first one to contact them and ask if they need help, which is the program that I saw. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome, thank you. So part of what I heard is in the old days, many managers and still very old people that are managing in companies, they will track people when you show up in the morning and when you leave at night. And they just record, this employee worked 12 hours, 6 days a week, so I'm going to give them a promotion. But we don't use that anymore, especially when we don't even have to go to the office. So nowadays, what you were saying is some companies, the managers, they use like a PERT chart, P-E-R-T, program evaluation review technique charts, where you can say, I'm at the beginning of the work process, I'm in the middle of the work process, I'm at the end of the work project. That's great. There are other ways also. That PERT chart is still also old. What is the newer way? Jakovir, Hyunakdo, Hyunchang Cho, can you guys comment? Any students, can you comment? Felix, I see that you shared a link. What are you sharing, Felix?
Just right. Does anybody send me now when I speak or not?
I don't know. I'm not checking your link. Is it related to class?
Yeah, that's like a link to technically I want to speak like in front, but my mic doesn't work, so I tried to share it. But I don't know if you understand me now, but I think so.
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay, it was about from the European government, how to overcome the barriers, and like a lot of us trying to shift the different time zones, so that the people don't have contact with each other, and try to save like the time the people work, and also show them how to communicate with each other without a direct contact. So like a friend of mine, I met him, or I had a call with him, and he's told me he had like a proposal job at BMW, and he had that here online from Seoul. So it was, I think maybe it's getting more digital now without recording too much.
Oh, okay, yes, things are getting more digital. And yes, you do have an article, I'm sharing it with the class, talking about HR management is changing with coronavirus. So you were saying it is becoming more digital. Great, how? What are some examples? For example, people, I think one of the students was talking about 360-degree feedback. It's not just a manager checking what time you go to work and leave work, but you have your peers also evaluating you. It's not just your manager evaluating you. 360-degree feedback is everybody around you gives an evaluation of you, and that counts for your promotions and your bonuses at the end of the year. That's why our class, everybody that presents should be getting a 360-degree feedback from everybody around you. And when you give your final 60% marks, your research paper at the end of the term, you need to understand that, and that the other people watching at the very last day, many people are going to want to present at the very last day. So you should give your research, your final work, your results, which are most important, give them now. Get feedback from other people how to improve, and then give it again next class, and give it again next week, and give it again the following week. So by the time we're at our very last class, you've got points each day from 360-degree feedback, and you have a perfect presentation. Marissa, you have your hand up again.
Yeah, I just wanted to add how coronavirus changes the whole HRM. Concerning the 360 degrees feedback, because people work from home, they are not in their usual work environment. I think it's also like the whole 360-degree feedback changes because the approach is very different. Like you don't sit with your other workers, you don't know, you don't have face-to-face meetings, you might not exchange the views or your own opinion, for example, as you would before. And also, like, I also wanted to mention mental health issues in the overall general topic, that because it influences like employee performance a lot, I think, especially when you're like in the same environment all the time. You don't move to a different space. You basically sleep where you work, and I think that affects a lot your overall performance and your overall feeling in the company. So that's a huge issue, I think, as well.
Absolutely. So what can we do about that? We are living with that. Marissa, I can see your face. Mabek, I can see you. There's a few students I can see, but Songa Joe, I don't know if you're even in class. There's another student that's just listed as Zoom user. I obviously cannot give points to people I don't usually see, even if you're working. Maybe you are sharing stuff in a WhatsApp file or a Facebook group, but if I don't see what you're doing, I can't accept it or even recognize it. So people need to do something. What can you guys do other than ensure there is a 360-degree feedback or a peer review feedback? What else can you guys do when you're working in companies to get recognized, to get your dream job? Remember what we were talking about in previous classes. The idea of lifetime employment is gone. It's disappearing really fast. Project work by the hour is becoming more and more impressive. So start showing people you have an impressive folder of materials, or start showing many people that you've summarized many different folders. Start showing people, like Hyanak Do was doing, you can work with people in India that are downloading the same files you're interested in, but you can benefit from them. Kanakdo showed that there's a person in India that has like 25 different Scopus articles related to HR management in Vietnam. So by just teaming up with these people and sharing the folder that somebody else is making, many people will give you credit. Again, it's the results focused details. Put that stuff on your resume. You can start selling your expertise going forward. Great. Let's go on. I want to show a little bit more. So this is talking about career development again for everybody. And the overall PPT, there's a bunch of things we can go through. The necessity of career development is super important. You're not going to have safety of big companies for a lot of your life. You are your own company. You are your own employer. You can start selling your services, your products now. And so start promoting that. The manager's responsibility is you. You need to realize the traditional Korean way of sitting quietly until somebody asks you something may be gone. And so you need to start promoting yourself. Looks like the file's going through. I'm just going to share this file again. So don't just wait for a manager to ask. Don't wait for me to ask, your teacher to ask. Start going through and understand the idea of the outplacements and the idea of this right here. Our class is designed so that you can start working with this international management way. Don't just focus on living in a textbook. Focus on doing your paper, but for the companies around you. Not just as local company employers, but get the benefit from those other huge companies that may provide the grants going forward. We're having technical difficulties. Just a second, let me show this stuff again. Can you guys see the screen talking about how students can make your papers for local employers and the idea of career development goals, how you should be developing proactively?
No, the screen is all black right now.
Okay, let's try this again. Now you can see it's slowly coming up. So this basic idea you guys are aware of. Don't just do the hard work. It's the same thing. You can do your classwork, put it on your resume, give it to a company, interact with the company, develop relationships with the company. Maybe the company might start paying you. And at the same time, you can work with grants. Every one of you must talk to me more about grants. So far, almost nobody has talked about this. There's a significant amount of your points for that because it helps you. You don't have to apply to a company. You don't have to apply for a grant. You just need to show me you know how to benefit from a grant going forward. So this is what I wanted to see. All of you probably have you should have some dream goals for your idea of success. And you should realize, especially in Asia, most students are considered at the bottom of the ladder and you're at your very first steps if you don't have a lot of experience. So start getting experience now because it's more equal. Anybody that can do the job can do the job. Anybody that can start showing results can get paid for it. So start interacting with these people. Identify what are your goals, who is above you you can work with, who is inside the company you might want to connect with. Start interviewing them, connecting with them. As we showed online, Bonnie Nam is connected with Harvard and focused on international compensation. You can find those articles, share that with him, and then he may be interested in helping you going forward. So that idea has changed. Don't just follow as a quiet student that might have been respected in the past. start promoting yourself now. Be a specialist with your classwork, put it on your resume, share your creative ideas with the employers now. What else? This, the definition for everybody should be clear. The old-fashioned way of evaluating employees was just through time cards. You punch in at the beginning in the morning, you punch out at night. That's disappearing very, very quickly. It's very bad for company morale. It's bad for productivity. People developed more than 20 years ago this PERT charts to help develop your results in your companies. You can show other people what you're doing, but that also is old now. You should start developing your specialization and interacting with everybody around you, chatting with other people outside of the formal company classrooms or the formal company boardrooms, like you will have Facebook groups inside companies. Samsung has many chat rooms, just like Facebook group pages, that are just for any employees to talk about confidential Samsung details online. And HR managers and your general managers cannot give you trouble for complaining in there, but they can also see when some people are providing some solutions. Like even this university, Kim University, they say they want to grow, but during meetings, they don't actually have meetings anymore. They don't usually have the training programs anymore. And if you do get a chance to see the president or the dean, sometimes they're very busy. They don't have time to talk to you. So they've developed these suggestion boxes online, websites where you can offer some suggestions. Start finding out what your company has for the suggestion box, and don't just talk about problems, but provide solutions. That's one way going forward. The next topic we're going to be talking about is performance management. And so this is the Chapter 11 Performance Management Systems. There's a variety of things we will be talking about, but we are basically out of time now. Is there any other questions or comments from students before I start introducing this performance management systems?
If you don't mind, yes, I'd like to notify our students that from Wednesday, we are going to switch the Zoom link for the meeting. So I've sent an email to them. They registered the new Zoom meeting link in the Google Calendar. So they should have this new information. Just to be noticed that it's a different Zoom link on Wednesday for HRM.
Okay. Julian or Ali, would you like to talk about the quizzes for everybody before I get into the next PPT? Or is everybody just itching for me to talk about performance management systems?
We are eager to hear about the performance systems.
Liar! But okay, I will start talking about that. So performance management. Again, before I start talking about it, I understand there are some teams ready to talk about that. If you wait until next class, you only get marks next class. It doesn't help your career. Waiting almost never helps your career. By showing other people, especially your manager or your professor, what you are doing, even if it's not finished, you can be recognized for your expertise. That is the virtual way. So any students that have material, share that. Otherwise, oops, it's not. Here it is. Here. Can you guys? Yes, so we can see it. So the whole idea of performance, as we said earlier, the old-fashioned way of performance is just measuring people's time inside the company. How many of you have seen a company or any organization that has a time card? Have any of you worked in jobs where you're paid just by your time? Once, twice. What I'm looking for is somebody to acknowledge it, maybe describe an example.
Yes.
Okay, can you describe an example of that?
I had a chip, and so I just had to put the chip every time in the machine when I start working, and I had also tell the machine what I'm working now, and then I had to like a stamp or stamping it.
Okay, can you explain what was the company and what your chip was?
It was like a RFID chip. So the company, it was a composite company. I'm not legally allowed to tell more about that because of my
Okay.
contract. I'm not allowed to talk more.
I don't need the company name. Basically, you said you had a chip and you got paid by the chip. Well, people are thinking potato chips, so you need to.
That was like electronic chip, so I had to hold it on the machine, and then it recognized when I entered the room what I start doing. I had to change like the number, what was reading on the chip, and so it was like electronically transferred into the company, and they then afterwards paid me for the month for the time I worked.
Okay, similar to most high-tech companies. Most high-tech companies, including Samsung, has that same thing. They will give each person a chip. Usually it's like a credit card that you can keep in your wallet. When you walk in the company, your credit card, that chip is recognized when you are coming in, what meetings you're in, where you're active in the company. It recognizes for safety concerns if you have access to confidential information, for example. When you're working with the customers, it tracks your transit times and your transportation details. It talks about when you're even having lunch and working with other employees in different areas. It can track a lot of things. So yes, those are certain areas to track performance. Great. Please, I hope people will very quickly realize how more and more companies are starting to realize that just tracking employees, whether it's by time or by location, is not really the point. That is what the old-fashioned people were thinking about. Nowadays, they're talking about just the results that you're getting. So make sure you're tracking that. That whole idea of you're sharing a file, your email is monitored when you send a file, how many people are looking at it, how many people are reading your file, sharing your file. It's the same thing as we're using with YouTube or Facebook. The biggest companies are very active with that. So be aware that the definition of performance and performance appraisal, it's changing rapidly. Management by objectives. So can somebody help identify, hopefully you've read the chapter and the details, what is management by objective? What is MBO? And what are stretch targets? Can anybody help the class understand what that means? The Korean way of just open questions usually gets 0 results. Minsu Kim, I kind of see your finger kind of up. Is that a question? Anybody?
I do know what management by objectives is. It's actually all in our presentation, but anyways, so the management by objectives are when the manager, in order to evaluate the performance of the employee, they set some quantifiable and measurable objectives, goals so the employees can accomplish during the work. So would be the work of the employee would be aiming to achieve that objective, and that's how the work performance of the employee would be evaluated. So yeah, also of course it would depend on which kind of work they are doing, because this kind of objective set by the manager has to be how do I say, it cannot be unrealistic goals, otherwise it would have negative results, because when it's too unrealistic, the employee might not feel motivated enough to accomplish that, because they understand that it would be not possible to do it. But yeah, so the manager set this kind of objectives on the for the performance of the employee, so they can have a more, is it proactive, no, a more positive work.
So this is what you're basically describing. Management by objectives, in some ways, is saying the employees need to be able to go through and finish these projects, and you need to register with your boss when you finish these. There's the attendance file, which is slightly different. You can go in and get more details related to what you're doing. Everybody realizes you're supposed to do 60% of your work focused on your main research paper, 10% focused on your weekly presentation, 20% should be focused on answering questions from your weekly materials. So you're aware of those basic management by objectives. The management, or in our case, the professor, says this is what we need to do for this term, for this number of months. So everybody knows that. Now, great, what are stretch goals? How do you actually implement management by objective wisely? Because some people can just go through and do the absolute minimum. What is a formula for tracking people that just do the minimum? Should you include everybody together the same way? Or should you put people in different groups, high-performing groups and low-performing groups? Sometimes low-performing groups might be amazing for relationships with the customers. Maybe they're not the best engineers in the world, but they're very good at chit-chatting and keeping the customer happy. So you need to balance things. How do you do that? Management by objective. What are stretch goals? Okay, stretch goals are this big idea of the company needs to do certain projects, just like what we're seeing in our Excel file. But you also should know that your company managers, or in this case, your teaching team, we have developed extra teachers or executives that can do extra projects with you. If you do those extra projects, you should have much better results. You can get the internships. And if you do extra projects by sharing extra things in the Facebook group, that is different. So those are called the stretch goals in some sense. What they are is they break the company goals down for each individual worker, and we track what you're going to do. What you should have done is at the beginning of the semester, you record with the professor, I'm going to do this. And then the professor tracks that. And by midterm time, you should have presented to the professor, okay, I have done this. This is my updated details. And if you're very active, the top performers would be able to contact the class each week showing these new developments. And the professor can actually see that some people are working at a different pace than others. And so in order for anybody to do well, the manager, or in our case, the professor, his job is to take everybody, put them as an average, and stretch what everybody can do for the whole year divided by the number of employees or the number of weeks that you're working. Take that average and try to add a few more things that you're supposed to do. So you can easily do the average, but you should stretch it and try to do more work in order to try to grow the company and grow yourself. That's what we're talking about as management by objectives with the stretch goals or stretch targets. You tell your boss, each employee tells your boss, this is what I'm going to do this semester. This is what I'm going to do this term. And the boss says, great, yes, you can do that, but I want you to do more. So here's 2 extra things. So try to do all of those. And if you finish all of those, you should be entitled to some bonus at the end of the term. That's what we're talking about with stretch goals. And so our class is designed in the same way. Try to show, not just me, don't worry about me, but show for yourself that you know how to show other people what you're doing. And you know how to show other people that you're adding value. So that's why many of these Excel files and these Facebook groups and WhatsApp group, our class is doing the same thing as other classes in other countries, And there are groups using the WhatsApp group. There's Ali has been helping several students talking in a Kakao Talk group. It's up to you to find out that information and join and show your participation. So with that said, we've gone through our class time. The main presentation again for performance management. Please make sure you go through and you understand for next class what this activity is about. Watch the Apple Biggest Startup, the idea of understanding performance, the degree of accomplishment of tasks that make up an employee's job. It reflects how well employees are at fulfilling requirements of a job. Try to go through this and understand what this is. So when we are in class next, we will be able to effectively work in groups. Don't just show up for class and not know anything about performance management. Go through details in advance. So when we start, you can show me and everybody that you are adding value. Any questions about your class requirements? The fact that I keep repeating over and over again, 60% of your mark, 60 points go to one term paper. And how if you only wait until the very last day, and you know that at the beginning of term, it's very generous and very easy, but as we go towards the end of the term, you're supposed to be experts and the points are going to be harder to get. So if you only present on the very last day, it's going to be hard to get perfect points. But if you present now, it's easy to get many points. So start doing it now. Start showing you have results. Start showing you don't need just that time card. Start using your online tracking systems like the ATS we talked about in week 3 to show your value. And so Lim, any comments before we go? No? Ji-Hwan So, any comments from you before we go?
No, Professor.
Hei-Jin Chun, is there anybody that has comments or, again, maybe you don't realize what I'm trying to say. I don't really care what you say. I'm giving you a chance to get promotion. I'm giving you a chance to get extra compensation. In our group, that's points. By saying anything, sharing your articles, I can give points too. Don't allow me to just hang up without giving you points. Juyong Lee, can I give you any points today?
No.
Fantita, I want to give you points. Sanga Cho, I want to give you points. Tell me how I can give you points, Shiraz. Or are you just going to tell me goodbye? 5, 4,
Bye.
3, bye. Okay, guys, take care. See you guys next class. Please contact me or the teaching team anytime so we can help you develop your class project so that it goes beyond just the class and helps you possibly get your career now. Realize that the grant activity, you don't have to talk to any other company, but if you understand the grant, you could be getting paid to do classwork right now with as little as 200 or 300 words. So if you think it's hard, it's because you don't understand details. Ask questions.
Professor?
Yes, question, thanks.
So this means actually our group we prepared the quiz for next class. I just wanted to get a check from you in case regarding our quiz questions after all the students leave the class.
Then I would not wait until the end. You are thinking like an old lady.
No,
Listen,
no. I mean,
Grandma Kim, you are trying to keep your quiz question confidential. What I'm trying to do is get you to share your questions with students now. Maybe not the answers, but the questions. And so they can start preparing now. And they will learn it even better if you give them the questions now.
It's because I remember you said that we have to get an okay from you whether the questions are too hard or not. So and the answer is on the questions already. So that's why I was waiting for the students to leave the class.
You need to share your material with the class, period. With my approval, without my approval, you can share that anytime. You can share the quiz questions with your classmates anytime. Whether you get my approval or not my approval, you should do that because that's showing other people that you think that's important. I have found several students have created quiz questions that are really, really hard. And so I said, whoa, those are really hard. Let's try an easier one so the classmates don't go crazy. But by showing the rest of the class what other people, what students think, these are good questions, you should know it, that tells them you should realize this. You should stop being, other classmates should stop being lazy. If we, do you remember this? Let me try to show you. Do you remember this millennial presentation? This, hopefully it's slowly coming up. Anyway, yes, this one. What this is showing after the ad is that a lot of millennials just do the minimum, just do the easy. And you get a lot more benefit by trying to do the hard. Have you seen this video, Min-Soo Kim?
I cannot see I can't hear the video. Professor, I think your mic, there's a problem on your microphone maybe.
I am just showing you the idea of this video related to your comment about quiz questions. Here we go. So this is a presentation about why the millennial generation doesn't succeed. And it's by a famous guy, Simon Sinek. I encourage you guys to watch this. It's only 15 minutes long, and it talks about how millennial generations live with technology and impatience. Because you can get anything on the internet immediately, you don't have to wait for a TV to come online next month. You can download the TV program today. Same thing with dating. You don't need to wait and go dating and find out that dating is hard, talking to other people is hard. You can just use Tinder and swipe right, swipe left, whatever time you want, and get a date within seconds. And you can get success within seconds online versus the hard way of going out and actually doing the old-fashioned type of work. Anyway, this is talking about that. So why do I care? Why am I talking about this? Because maybe I misunderstood, but it looked like you only wanted to give students an exam once everybody was ready to write an exam. But in my mind, an exam is not important. The only thing that's important is people show they understand details. So if you give the questions now that you think are important, that will get everybody in class to start learning about that. And for example, if you have 10 questions, I want to start the class saying we can be easy. Maybe you can give 10 questions, but students only have to answer 2. And if they answer 2, they can get 2 points. If they answer anything more than that, they can get bonus points. So is that clear, Min-Soo Kim? If you give your quiz questions now, your classmates can get more learning, more understanding, and we can discuss what is the level of evaluations later.
I can show the questions now. It's just because I remember on the first day of class, the instructions were do not share the questions with the students before the presentation.
Oh, sorry, my communication's bad. Do not share the answers with other people, but you can still argue with me. you should share a folder, a Google folder of all of your classwork every time you're developing it, every time you're talking about something. You can share that link to the Google Drive folder with your scientific articles, with your research paper developing, with your weekly project, your PPT, and with your quiz questions. You can share that. And what I was trying to say at the beginning of the semester is just confidentially, some people will complain if everybody just gives answers only to certain people. So I was saying initially, just gives the answers to me and I will check. And we will negotiate what are the good questions so that everybody is happy. But if you are going to give the quiz questions and answers to everybody in the class, before we have identified what questions are important to answer, then I don't know, that could still be okay. That would help people get motivated to learn. Does that clarify details for you, Min Soo Kim?
Yes. Okay. I have the questions ready now without the answer, because I had highlighted the answer, but I just erased it. I can share the questions with you now.
Okay, great.
I will check before next week.
Oh, class is finished, but people are still getting possible extra points. Make sure you're aware of these details as we go forward. So what kind of process is performance management system? A, B, or C? Which method is also called 360-degree feedback? A, B, C? What is one of the biggest obstacles to a multinational enterprise has to face when introducing PMS, post okay. If I introduce PMS to anybody else, my wife is going to kill me because I'm not supposed to talk about her PMS to anybody. Marissa, what are you smiling for? Thank you. It helps to clarify details.
Is it the questions too hard, or
those ABC? You flip a coin and you get 50%, you know, at least 30% chance of success anyway. So no, I don't think this is very hard. I think this is very easy, and it is important for everybody to know these things. Okay, good.
We try to focus only on the details that are presented in our presentation for Wednesday. So we try not to make it too hard.
If you share this file with Ali, she can put this into a polling system. So everything's automated. You don't need to read everybody's answer. Everybody can get the online big data analyzed by itself. If you
I wanted to get an okay from you today before sharing the Google Drive link today, because we finalized.
You have one, okay. This is good.
Okay, so I will.
And for everybody else in class, share your materials now. Don't wait until a later week. Don't wait to share your final research project in the last week of class. That's the old style, which is out of date. Start promoting yourself now. Start using me now. I work for you, remember? So show me what you have. I can evaluate it now and tell you how to improve it. So later you can present it again in a better way. When you share it in class, you can get marks for sharing it in class. Even now, Min Soo Kim gets points for sharing this, even though she's not officially presenting it yet. So Min Soo Kim should get many points for what she's talking about right now. And she can get more points for doing this whenever she talks in the class about it. Right, Traz? Right, Mr. Jung? Right, Marissa? You know the definition of PMS now?
So, Professor, our presentation was a little bit different from the weekly topic that was presented today. We focused on the book that we have for the class on the material. So is that okay? We focused more on the methods of the performance management system rather, and then provide the example of two companies, but briefly. rather than focusing on just one specific company.
That's fine. I think that is traditional. I think your classmates are going to love that because Korean students love following the textbook. But I have done a lot of research and I realize that textbooks are not edited as much as journal articles. So journal articles usually are at a higher level of intelligence, a higher level of education than textbooks. And because any one person writing something is not going to be as good as wisdom of crowds, everything you can get from the internet by sharing many files from the internet and with other people, you can get better results. So I think what you're doing is great. Korean students should love it.
So I tried to put the methods from the book and add the pro and cons of each method on, but some methods were not some pro and cons were not included in the book. So I had to do some further research. That's what we did. Do we have to change?
Awesome. If you do the textbook plus you add some sort of articles, I'm definitely going to be giving you more marks for that. As I say, I have written, maybe I shouldn't say this on, maybe I should stop the video first. I have written many textbooks. And I know after we finish publishing them that I made a lot of mistakes in the textbooks. So I know textbooks are wrong, but journal articles can't be published unless they're checked by other experts first. So anytime you take a textbook, it's nice. People will respect you, but the world leaders know textbooks have a lot of mistakes. And so if you update things with journal articles, that is the smartest, best thing you can do. That's a very intelligent thing to do. So thank you for updating the textbook.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
What's even better, one of the classes is identifying people that are working on that topic. And so not only are they preparing to present a PPT about the class textbook, but they found somebody working in Samsung that's a specialist in that, and they can invite them to our class to talk. That would be much, much better for your careers. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good day.
One other chat. Ali, okay, there's the YouTube video. Ali has shared a nice YouTube video.
No, actually, I just share again the link of the video that you showed. Make sure that students know where to watch again.
Okay. This is the link that we are sharing online. This other detail talking about who else is still in class listening.
Professor, I just wanted to have a talk for 5 minutes. That's why I was waiting.
Okay. Any of you, some of you students that are still here, you're pretty high level students, great. I wanted you to be aware of this YouTube video by Simon Sinek. Can you guys see this screen, what I'm showing? It's talking about how millennials, some people say you guys are lazy. Some people are saying because you have the internet and videos all the time around you, you are learning bad habits. And there's a problem with the parents and teachers are teaching in a wrong way. They're parenting in a wrong way. And so how you need to overcome it, he's making some suggestions to help you. I would love to argue because I think even though this guy is famous, he's making some mistakes. He's saying you should not have cell phones early in the morning or late at night. You shouldn't have them at a dinner table. You shouldn't bring them to classes, into conference meetings. I think this is not good. I think there are other alternatives. You should learn how to use them, but use them smart, safely, and effectively. But anyway, anybody in class that is looking at this, you can watch this anytime. With that said, other people can leave the group. Go ahead. What would you like to talk about?
Do you have time?
Yes.
I just need 5 minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
Instead of the grants, actually, I wanted to be very proactive and